Thank you, Malden. Welcome to Contro-Verse Open Mic. It's Monday, March 25th, 2024. Tonight we are featuring C.D. Collins. I am Jeff Taylor. We have Anna Geoffroy, who's our co-host. Also co-hosting in the back is Cathleen Chambless. And we have Greg helping out on productions. Ethan Mackler playing the bass. And I'm going to do this poem that I like to do. Go. The first brick felt like a toaster, only louder, more romantic about the way it leaves things. I could tell by the way the edges had been worn, by the way the red was pink, that it had taken the wrong shape somehow, that this brick was meant to be a kitchen appliance. 2, 3, 4. The fifth brick was held together by mortar, slapped across the exposed wide side in a way I could tell the work had been done just after lunch. The sixth brick was so covered in smut, I could hardly tell it was there. The seventh brick, a woman in a blue pantsuit, was standing on the seventh brick, wondering why my gait was a crawl. She had a fake tattoo of a cross across her left forearm. The top part of the yellow vertical line had flaked off in a way it looked like a capital T. I told her my last name was Taylor, but this puzzled her further. 8, 9, 10, and 11 is two ones put together. A couple of the loneliest numbers on a date. Yesterday, the rain crusted a worm to brick 12. I picked at it. The worm came off easily. When I tapped on the 13th, it sounded hollow, like maybe Whitey Bulger was hiding under there. Before I got to 14, a mosquito flew into my eye and was squished to death with a squint of my lash. I almost skipped ahead to the 15th while I was pulling pieces of broken toothpicks from under my skin, pooled and crusted into my eye. The plasma proved to improve my vision. 50, 75, 100, suffering from separation anxiety. 101 cracked a clean split when I rubbed it with my index finger. Romance means nothing to bricks. Heartless fucks, every one of them. 102 was painted blue. It reminded me of Bert and Ernie's Rubber Ducky. YES was written on 103. Wiping the dried blood from my right eye with my left forearm, I scratched TERDAY into 104 with a piece of glass. 105 had on the suit Napoleon wore at Waterloo. I don't know how they got the blood out, but I've never been one to romanticize the truth. 106 housed a burnt-out roach. The 107th brick looked like a chick, but never a second time. 150, 200, 300. Number 307 was once licked by Abigail Adams during a game of Truth or Dare. The 308th brick has a family history of being the 308th brick. His father was the 308th brick in the 283rd Battalion during the Korean War. His grandfather was originally intended for the Berlin Wall, but was accidentally redirected to a blood bank in Detroit. 309 is wanted for murder. She switched places with 412, who had an alibi for the evening in question. 413 used to be an extra on the Banana Splits. 414 wets the bed. I know this kid who used to date this girl who saw brick 415 pass out at 32 flavors last night. It's really serious. 475, 485, 495. On the first Thursday of every month, 496 serves food at the soup kitchen. Brick 497, not unlike my grandmother, hides bottles of apricot brandy all over the house. Brick 498 walks like an Egyptian. Brick 499 has been the chief financial officer for 5 bankrupt.coms. 500 is the number of spree one person can eat before puking. 500 was Nelson Riley's SAT score. The summer of 500 was a great year to vacation in the Fertile Crescent. The woman in a blue pantsuit grabbed the 500th brick and swapped it with the 105th. But this is Boston Common, not Waterloo. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's never to trust anyone over the age of 12 that has a fake tattoo.
Thank you, Jeff. I feel like every time I hear that bricks poem, there are more and more bricks. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Next up on our open mic, we have Cathleen. Give it up.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi. This is kind of a newer poem. It's about my dad who passed away almost 9 years ago. It's currently untitled. There's a dream I have where my dad comes back to life. Just standing in the kitchen cooking an ice cream choco taco. Delicately whipping a chocolate sauce and spreading it onto the ice cream into soft shell, topping it off with rainbow sprinkles, a deviated light spectrum delight. A snack for every time chemo bit his tongue into sunspot sores. In this reality, there's no need for chemo. Pull my finger, he would say, and poof, April Fool's, sorry sport, I never died. In another version of this dream, I have to carry and bury his casket again. My elegy is missing, and no one believes my father passed again. I am accused of making up his death as if it were a favorite fairy tale fable I spew over and over again. In life, my elegy describes my father as a ghost orchid. I once wrote a poem about ghost orchids entitled the poem Hope. You see, my father was my ghost orchid in the middle of the swamp. When I am stuck in the muck, the knees of cypress trees pinning me into the swamp, I look up and see the gnome unfolding, the ghost orchid bloom. So if hope is the ghost orchid and the ghost orchid is my father, does this mean when he died, my hope died too? I lose a little every night I dream and wake up to find the ice cream melted, the elegy misplaced in cyberspace, an orchid bloom wilted on the flower into the shape of a tiny man withered inside a hospital bed. Thank you. Thank you. Up next is... Who's up next? Anna. Please welcome the lovely Anna.
Thank you, Kathleen. Trying to make sure I don't break the mic before we get to our feature tonight. This is less of a poem and more of a rant, but I figure this is always a good space for that kind of a thing. We are what we do, so if you don't like who you are, change what you're doing. It's uncomfortable to hear when the weight of yourself is so heavy and inescapable, and the only functioning survival skill you have left is avoidance, to live with that constant looming threat of icebergs bearing down on your soul. What a terrible thing to say to someone who's reaching out for help, who has no energy for even the most basic tasks, who is at the very end of their rope. But terrible things are sometimes true. There are times that all of us fail to live up to the values we claim to hold, that we do not hold a candle to the person we want to be. This is the human condition. There is no escaping it, only working on it. And yes, I know you've been working. That just existing is exhausting, that you have had to battle dragons every morning just to get your socks on, and no one seems to see how hard you are already working just to breathe. But you need to learn to like yourself, and that means being someone you can like. You don't have the energy to be that person well, so be them badly. A little bit, here and there, with rewards every time you even try. Get accomplices if you can. Remember that austerity is bullshit. You cannot starve yourself of joy in the hopes it will drive you to be better. Be nicer to yourself, to your future self, every day, even when you don't deserve it, especially when you don't deserve it. Put your garbage art on the fridge. Pat yourself on the head. Whatever you do, don't stop trying. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce our featured poet of the evening. Although, Jeff, you're going to have to help me out because I did not bring her amazing resume. You got it on your phone there? Come on, get up here and introduce her for me.
No, you don't have to. Just say. No, you don't have to. I'll just come on up.
All right. Here we have Malden's inaugural poet laureate, Miss C.D. Collins.
I'm just, wow. All right, so in the spirit of rant, I understand that the ocean is getting warmer and the sea levels are rising and, doom is forecast, but I still feel that I can complain about Yankee Spring. Oh, my New Englanders. Oh, you fib. You tell tall tales. You make myths. Why do you lie about the weather? In a way, this habit is touching, like a belief in the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy. Teaching grade schoolers to depict seasons with construction paper cutouts of April showers, followed by May flowers, as though one resided in Camelot. Myth 1. Spring is just around the corner. As though a few green tongues slicing up through semi-frozen soil or iron-hard buds poking out like thumbs trying to hitchhike their way south were signs of spring. Myth 2. The reason I prefer New England to Los Angeles, Reykjavik, Acapulco, etc. is that we have 4 seasons. This is not true. We have 2 seasons. Season 1, winter, an 8-month period lasting from November through June, followed by a raw stretch of morning showers tapering off to snow squalls in the afternoon, scattered thunderstorms moving through to make way for steady rain, and for the weekend, a cold snap with brisk sleet showers. This unpredictable medley is punctuated by the blossoming of a lone weeping cherry tree, its sweet pink confetti tumbling across the parking lot. Random 90-degree sunny days. Call these blessings, my friend, but do not call them spring. Season 1.5, mud season. Season 2, road work. A time of desolation in the metropolis when the students leave for Europe or go off sailing to the Cape and the islands, leaving only those wearing hard hats and earplugs and scruffy displaced artists who have sublet apartments here because they cannot afford summer rent in their own apartments in Rockport and Provincetown, the artist colonies. Which leads to myth 3. We have an ocean. No, this is technically true. But on Saturday morning, you must rise at 5 a.m., drive for 2 hours for the opportunity of waiting in line to pay $20 before the parking lot fills up. Splash skin so soft to repel the vampirish greenheads and no-see-ums, which, like invisible airborne barracudas, gnaw chunks of exposed human flesh. While lugging your beach chair and cooler along the sandy path, you will read signs admonishing you to stay away from the dunes, the grass, the trees, or any living plants, and to continually scan for moving freckles, and obviously to burn your clothing the moment you return home. These signs have a scolding tone, as do the pollution indexes warning us to stay inside, which seems to shift the blame onto us, the breathers. Myth 4. We have foliage. No, that one is true. We do have foliage, and it is spectacular, but you must be quick because the appearance of the first flaming maple leaf in Boston signals that branches are bare in Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire. It's all cornflakes on the ground now, my sweets, and covered this weekend in a foot of snow. But spring is just around the corner. When I first moved to Boston, I waited along with you, but became enraged as each promised season failed to materialize. But now I am at peace, because, oh, my New England, I have learned that the hand gestures and facial expressions at rotaries and stoplights and honking horns and taxi drivers jumping out of their cars are native forms of celebration. The flipping over of out-of-state vehicles by sports fans is communal theater. Hello, I wave back, smiling. Go Sox, go Patriots, I yell, honking in unison. We live in New England, where wind fingers icily under our collars, where the subway screeches into the station. I disembark into the acrid electric scent of the subway's backdraft, sprint up the metal stairs of the out-of-order escalator, and stride onto the gray pavement, polka-dotted with historical chewing gum. When I hear your minor myths, Boston wears an emerald necklace. Boston is a very livable city. Or we can just hop on 93 and be there in no time. I smile. Hope is cruel, and thus I have deserted it. So now I love you, New England. I love your peoples and your libraries. I love your cappuccinos and your concerts, your artists and your architecture, your tabernacles and your theaters, your rowdy fans and your rivers. Oh, my New England, my Boston, my Cambridge, my Somerville, my Medford, my Worcester, my Malden. You awaken spring in my southern heart. I know my accent's bad on the... How do you say Medford if you're from Medford? Medford. Okay. So I first moved here as a resident of the former convent, Sacred Heart Convent, and the Contro-Verse restaurant was here. And does anybody here remember the Contro-Verse restaurant? It was great. It was great. And the Converse, we're Converse tennis shoes, right? So this is called Northern Gothic. In my hometown in Kentucky, there are those who can't cope. Runaways, living in barns, fields, abandoned houses. They're elusive. We call them jackrabbits. Yet deep in the city there are so many hard surfaces. Sound ricochets against your eardrums as you lie on stone or cold concrete. And even in summer it's loud, especially if you're already hearing voices, because you've been on the streets since Ronald Reagan closed the hospitals and the Department of Mental Health gets smaller every day. An inpatient at the old Mass Mental Hospital answered the phone on her ward, and she'd say, "Hello, Mass Mental, can you help me?" So you sleep on the street in this cold, hard town. If you could hold a job, you can't get one because you don't have an address. And this is what I call Northern Gothic. In my courtyard, I found a purse on the bench. Inside, a license, pictures, makeup, and 5 $20 bills. On the license, a woman's face, grayed, her lips tight and turned down. Researching, I discovered she had a record, so I didn't turn the purse over to police. I called people with her last name, but just one call back. Is there $1 million in that purse? He wanted to know. And when I said no, he said, well, I don't know her. I drove to the address on the license. The building was locked and a sign read, no trespassing. If you let someone in, you are responsible for them. I pressed buzzers. I don't know her. Metallic voices drifted from the speaker. I can't help you. When someone left, I slipped inside. I have Donna Bonfield's purse, I said to the woman, and I can't find her. Donna's homeless, she said. That's why you can't find her. Her sister lives here. Donna thought her purse was stolen from a table over at the Contro-Verse restaurant. There's money in it, I told her. I'll see that she gets it. When the woman smiled, I noticed she was missing a few teeth, which made me believe her, made me trust that she would understand the importance of $100. An author writing a biography of her uncle was interviewed on NPR. Not that my uncle did anything remarkable, she said. He was an inconsequential figure in the sense that most of us are inconsequential figures. The interviewer agreed that this was true, that most of us are inconsequential. Most of us, ultimately, don't matter. And we've done that, haven't we, here in America? Come to believe that we must be known to many in order to matter. So the anonymous and the famous can appear far apart, yet both are almost untouchable. Both have lost something essential, their place among us where you're known, where you belong. I never met Donna, but I know she was there on the bench in my courtyard, maybe drinking too much medicine from a bottle in a paper bag. I know that we both went to the Contro-Verse restaurant, where you can get 2 eggs, home fries, corned beef hash, and a bottomless cup of coffee for $5. Thank you. I think there's a meeting out there that we're not invited to, but I do think that you all should know about this. All right. Does anybody know who Marina Abramovic is? Yes! Yes! She's the grande dame of performance art. She's from Serbia. Have you heard of, anybody else heard of her? Oh my God, 1974, right? She stood while the audience did whatever they wanted with the objects she placed on a table. This is called Stop Time. We walked around Provincetown in the shank of the lemony day. These seasons, long or short, depending if you were 16 or 60, the remedy for time speeding up is to do something new. Each moment an offering, impossible to hold, stopping time, which is an invention, a theory, a lie. Our hemisphere tilts closer to the earth in the stark of winter. Without leaves to dapple the blaze, our iris muscles contract. These signify seasons, but not time. There was a woman who decided as a piece of art to go into the town square in Naples, surrounded with paints and knives and feathers, a sign that people could do with her as they willed. They started out tender that day, delicately stroking the feather around her arm, kissing her hand. She just looked forward. Someone drew a sketch across her shoulders of the view from Monte Rosa to the chop of the Mediterranean. Gradually, they painted it in, a panorama from shoulder to shoulder. Someone laughed at her. Someone threw a stone. Someone picked up the knife and taunted her, tested the sharpness by cutting her arm, letting the blood trail onto her fingers, a few drops onto the raised disc where she stood, unmoving. But not unmoved, because when night fell, she'd been bruised and cursed. She'd been name-called and imprisoned in the flesh she'd been born into. She'd been pushed and scorned. They cut off her clothes and stuck rose thorns into her stomach, hung a sign on her head that read, "Vile." She didn't move of her own motion and accord. She didn't speak, didn't fight back. Her body absorbed what she learned and can never unlearn. How she'd stood on the disc from sunrise to sunset and broke time. That was Marina Abramovic. All right. So I'll do a couple of short ones, and then we'll have more open mic, I think. Is the idea? All right. So I have a farm in Kentucky, and I've been thinking about how in the city, we don't necessarily think about that everything that keeps us alive comes from the land, and it comes from the rain. Rain can be like a nuisance in the city, and rain is, as a farmer, it's what we wait for. So my goal on my farm is to heal the soil, and so I wrote this: keep water on the land. Plants keep water on the land. Light fades photographs. Beavers keep water on the land. Despite the blurry envelope of drunkenness, wildlife keeps water on the land. He slept now all the long afternoon, not to cause suffering. We are all trying not to be alone. Bacteria and fungi keep water on the land. All tyrants fall. Water makes life possible. They don't all fall fast enough. Light fades photographs. Variety keeps water on the land. Trees sleep at night, relaxing their limbs. The force of gravity is greater on Earth than on the moon. You are lighter on the moon. Light fades photographs. All tyrants fall, but they don't all fall fast enough. We are all trying not to be alone. There is no life without water on the land. So, should I finish with one little funny thing? Like it's a. All right. So I'll do one more. Okay, so this can happen to you in Kentucky. You can die from salad. Death by salad. At Kathy's Country Kitchen in Santon, Kentucky, you start your meal with a salad. You can choose tossed, pear, macaroni, potato salad, deviled egg salad, cornbread salad, strawberry pretzel salad. Strawberry pretzel salad is a local favorite, and here is how you make it. You break up a large package of pretzels. You melt a stick of butter and mix it in with your crushed pretzels. You add a cup of nuts and a few tablespoons of sugar. You punch that down in a Pyrex pan and you bake it for 10 minutes at 350 degrees. In the meantime, you make 2 packages of strawberry jello with as much sugar as you can possibly dissolve. You add your frozen strawberries and you refrigerate that. Then you mix a container of Cool Whip with an 8-ounce package of cream cheese and half a cup of confectioner's sugar. You spread that mixture evenly on top of your cool crushed pretzels. Then you pour your half-gelled jello over top of that and put it in the refrigerator to set till dinner time. Now, people, this is not a salad. But at Kathy's, it's on the salad list, so you might order it anyway. Then you have your catfish dinner with yeast rolls or Johnny cakes, mashed potatoes with brown or white gravy, corn pudding, and, of course, fried green tomatoes. Now it's time for desserts. there's the usual list: butterscotch cream pie, chocolate cream pie, banana pudding, and at the bottom, the actual dessert that you will choose: yellow cake with warm caramel sauce. The yellow cake of Kathy's Country Kitchen has the same density and longevity as the uranium yellow cake used to make fuel for nuclear reactors. It has a half-life of about 1,000 years, except that instead of being used to make a bomb or nuclear fluid or nuclear fuel, this yellow cake goes in your stomach, and once you eat it, your bliss is short-lived. On your way back down Levee Road, you want to die. You swear you will never eat again. But next time, when your waiter says, yellow cake with caramel sauce, it's like a cat charming a bird. You'll want it, and as soon as you get better, you're going to order it again. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me to Contro-Verse. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Everybody, give it up one more time for our feature and Malden Poet Laureate C.D. Collins. Woo! And of course, our own beloved Ethan Mackler. Take it away. Oh, I did it too fast. I'm the worst. Tonight we are probably, I think, going to have 3 more rounds. CD, you are, of course, welcome to participate in the open mic should you feel so moved. First up, we are going to have our very own Jeff!
I'm fresh from having a brief heart attack. I thought my wife was in the ER. I just got a text from her, but she's okay. This is real, yeah. That's why I jumped up. I didn't mean to jump up in the middle of your set, and I was causing commotion in the back, and I apologize for that, but I got a text. But it was because I thought I might have to leave. But no, she's okay. There was like a test that was not the outcome of that test was false. So it was alarming, and she went to the ER and got more tests, and those tests confirmed that alarming test was a false test. Good. Yes, you can get false readings. So at least that's what it was. Oh, yeah. All right, so I'm going to read this poem called Arguing with Myself Over Sushi. Maybe Ethan will want to play with me. Standing in line for buffet sushi, when an adult-looking version of my adolescent self emerges from the body of my current self, scornfully asking if I've lost myself, causing me to crumble my fish roe into a tray of tuna maki. I think about telling the unburdened version of myself a defeated man can bleed enough to change the world. Instead, I relay what I learned about love after a poorly crafted double date. Love lies at the intersection of science and art. When the integers and perspectives have been mapped, You may end up marrying the woman who is currently trying to bang your roommate. But if you keep your compass pointed north, there is reason to believe you can be more than the contents of this meat suit the universe has delivered you into. Considering your devotion to myth, I surmise philosophizing with you will be like the relationship between masturbating at Thomas Paine's funeral and a tree falling in the woods. If there's no one around, if there's no one around to debate the metrics of morality, then who's gonna fucking say anything? Stricken with a sense of superiority, I assert the higher ground, drawing a dick vacation land across the pimpled grill of my immaturity. Water skiing dicks cutting the lake. Dick golfers fighting sand traps. Volleyball dicks spiking the line. Consumed by the desire to outgrow the limits of my vocabulary, instant karma taking agency from some theoretical form of alien limb syndrome, still not having realized I'm using the same words, just holding a different flashlight. My younger self reverse directions, taking the marker from my now self, drawing havoc-causing dicks across the goofy man face of my maturity. Dick pilots bombing the intersections of my perfectly creased brow. Pirate dicks pillaging the astute fields of my engaging cheekbones. Dick ninjas descending the cracked lines of my auspicious jaw. As my immature self retaliates, drawing dicks on my current self, the drawings appeared on my immaturity, the outward expression of my inner moral argument layered with dead fish and avocado, finding common ground in the unsympathetic language of dick jokes. Excuse me. In the confidence in knowing heroes make better sandwiches than people. Thank you.
Always glad to hear when the panic backstage is for a false alarm, and I do very much love the jet skiing decks. Probably not the right thing. Anyway, Kathleen, please rescue me from this microphone. Get up here!
This poem is called In the End. In the end, the credits roll into colored bars and a single tone. In the end, the sense of hearing is the last to go. What is it like to hear yourself die? In the end, vacuum-sealed caskets turn corpses into pink goop. In the end, the caterpillar liquefies. In the end, we are mostly water, 60% per human being. In the end, sometimes when a beekeeper dies, each bee is splashed with a drop of black ink. If bees speak geometrically, then what synchronized shape do they create for death? In the end, Zoroastrians honor their dead by placing them atop towers for birds to consume flesh, merry spirits to the sky. In the end, atoms that constitute our bodies are residue of the Big Bang. Is that why our cells explode when we die? In the end, the stars will swallow the sky, after which they implode. The credits roll into colored bars and a single tone. Thank you. Next, we have Ethan, and you're going to read us something too, right, Ethan?
If I may. Yeah, let me just move the microphone.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. This is an excerpt, a short bit from Ulysses, from Alfred Lord Tennyson. There lies the port, the vessel puff her sail. There gloom the dark broad seas, my mariners that have toiled and wrought in thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine at opposed. Free hearts, free foreheads, you and I are old. Old age hath yet honor and toil. Some work of noble note may yet be done. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes. The slow moon climbs. The D moans round with many voices. Come, my friends. 'Tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order smite to sounding furrows, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides. 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 Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. That was quite a cool cover of Tennyson. I love hearing covers, especially one that's so different than what one might expect just by reading it. So yeah, thanks a lot. That was awesome. Next up on the open mic, we have Anna Geoffroy.
All right, who's ready for the audience participation portion of this evening?
Yeah.
Are y'all ready? Okay. So your choices are shit postmodernism or instruction manual. I got one for instruction manual. Do I hear any votes for shit postmodernism?
I like both.
Oh, that's wishy-washy.
How about an instruction manual on how to shit post in modernistically?
I'm not freestyling a poem for you, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff.
Instruction manual it is.
What the hell, man? Jeff kid. May I play on this?
I am always trying so hard to make myself clear. I have to slow down. I have to pause. I have to put spaces between my thoughts. When there are no spaces, they are not just one after the other, but one on top of the other. 345 trains running at the same time on the same tracks into one another, and overhead the skies are filled with bombers. Underneath the ground is full of landmines, tracks running across cracking ice at any time ready to fall in, and I know what is down there. I know what is in that deep dark hole that we do not visit, that we acknowledge and name and put signs around, and sometimes I just need someone to understand. I knew I found my tribe when they said that neurodivergent urge to explain yourself and keep explaining. As if you could just find the right word, somebody would get it. I don't know how to explain in a way that will make any sense to you that I was at a party and my eyes fluttered, and in that moment I was in another place. A January 6th that had succeeded behind their wildest imaginings as they dragged representatives out into the street executions, and worse. And the worst thing is, people don't get how fragile democracy is, how easily it could happen, how it could happen here. I remember sitting on a green tarp in the Kung Fu studio packing up groceries during a national crisis. It sounds made up. If you live long enough, every story starts to sound fake. People tend to live in ruts, and I can't seem to find mine. I've run away so many times and broken up, started over and over again. But there is no hole they can shove me in, like a scorpion, flatten, wriggle, claw, and sting my way out again. When I tried to explain myself to someone who said, "It must be exhausting to feel so deeply high and low at all times with no breaks," he was right, but I can't imagine living any other way. There are parts of me I would love to fix, parts of me I have fixed. I have learned how to live so that I am not fighting a dragon every time I put on my socks, but some days are still hard, and there are still dragons that need to be fought, but it's good to have progress. Even a perfect version of me wants to flutter her eyes and leave sometimes, come back to her body shaking, need to go outside, breathe, put on her headphones, take back control of the ocean in her ears. Even a perfect version of me has cracks and flaws and dragon's teeth. Our perfected human soul is a bomb. I write like an instruction manual. I want somebody to know how to defuse me. Thank you. And we have time for one more round tonight, so without too much further ado, we are going to have Jeff back up here. Jeff!
Here I go. I got a poem. Somewhere in here is poems that I can read, and I probably should have had this already figured out, but I don't. Alright, I'll just do this one. Alright, this one's called Pulling the Switch. Nolan and I are on Cleveland Avenue, more stone than Mount Rushmore, switching the lawn ornaments adorning one house with the lawn ornaments decorating the identical-looking house next door. It's a game we call Moving the Goalpost. Nolan is in front of number 43, dismantling the strategically placed ceramic troll, frog, and mushroom display, while I'm at number 45, uprooting the arrangement of John the Baptist, plastic deer, and a welcome to the Tanner's sign. Changing our position as the aftermath becomes tenuous, Nolan takes a backgammon board from his backpack and sets up the black and white pieces. Both of us not quite sure we should be here, neither of us willing to admit it. We smoke and laugh. The Tanners are gonna be pissed when they see what went on while they were sleeping. Poem. Please make way for Ed.
Thank you, Jeff! I wasn't in the back. I was here the whole time. You saw nothing. Next up, we have Kathleen!
Figure I'll keep going with the theme of death. Why not? This one's called Undying Alone. Dying alone, alone with a cat with a witch, an old witch, alone with a cat. I will be that lady, the old lady without kids, except kids in the neighborhood. Kids in the neighborhood, afraid of me. Me, I will be a dare, a double doggy dare on Halloween. On Halloween, I double doggy dare you to ring my doorbell. Ring? Shh, not on these fingers. These fingers made this house blacked out except for a candle in the attic window. The attic window, a red light to throw everyone off. Adults think I turn tricks with those treats. What a treat to be that old puta bruja sucia. A puta bruja sucia with a shotgun and a rocking chair on her stoop. On my stoop with my cat, I purr. A purr to welcome the end of everything. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
And Anna is back up on stage. Let's welcome Anna.
All right, I lied. We're on short rounds. We're going to have a couple tonight. In keeping in the theme of death and dying and dead people, here is something I wrote for one of the ghosts in this book. The world may come at you with knives and try to cut away the pieces of you that do not fit their vision of who you should have been. The voices may pile up one atop the other, screaming your inadequacies, rehashing every loss and sorrow you never learned to grieve. You may spend your whole life fighting and never seem to make ground. You may lose your friends and see your enemies in power. But know this. You do not have to fulfill any prophecy. You do not have to avenge the girl. You do not even have to get your shit together to be worthy of this love. You are enough as you are now. With your failures and your fears, with your dreams unaccomplished, with your weaknesses and doubt. You, with every goofy grin and bad joke, with your scars and addictions, with the weirdness to your walk and your questionable fashion sense. You are loved. Everybody give it up for Ethan! These nights just would not be the same without Ethan here. Next on the mic, though, we have Jeff! Jeff!
going to read this longer poem that I don't feel like I can usually read at open mics because it's longer. But I'm going to read it because why not? This is called Orange Line. I'm just getting over bronchitis, so hopefully I can make it through. I've always felt confident in my black and yellow Adidas track jacket. It makes me feel like I can be somebody's hero. As I entered the inbound Orange Line train this afternoon, I find myself wearing decisively the wrong top layer to tackle the philosophical black hole this revealing commute has seen fit to thrust me forehead to forehead with. Maybe it's the way my jacket is bunched under the strap of my green Mission Workshop courier bag, the zipper caught inside the blue specialized clip so I can barely see over the two-toned zippered collar. I don't notice the distinguished grouping of sentient stanzas gripping the handrail like it was their first time gripping anything. It would be revealed to me in subsequent commutes this sentient grouping was a pantoum titled The Short Yet Legendary Career of My Slick, Lavish Locks. In a lot of ways, they are the unrealized spectacle that epitomizes my relationship with reality. As they are about to give me the answers to questions I haven't learned to ask yet, sonnet to the 40 ounce I didn't drink comes in on my 6 to palm me a flash drive, honestly enough that it leaves me questioning things I hadn't till that moment questioned. With a strong working theory on how this will play out, I put my lack of experience in the science of hesitation to use, inserting the flash drive in the refurbished ThinkPad, teetering restlessly across the knees of a noticeably unfocused passenger, mumbling a cadence that reminds me of the rhyme of the ancient mariner. Shuttling across the Medford-Somerville line, trying to keep my balance while simultaneously gaining control of the keyboard functionality of a laptop I'm finding out is chiefly used to take the attendance of this train car, which I'm finding out is majorly occupied by jumbled stanza that have, without explanation, come to life someplace between here and Oak Grove. As the yellow and black zipper teeth release from the snarl of the blue specialized strap clip, I get tossed back into my seat, but not before I see on the screen why these poems have chosen this train car to come to life in. Weekly support group meeting for the poems Jeff Taylor will never write. It is clear that instead of waiting for the answer, I need to formulate the question. And as disingenuous a location is, as this inbound Orange Line train car presents itself for revelation, and despite my tendency towards Schmilson over the last half-decade, this may be the opportunity my wife used to say I talked about in my sleep. The once-in-a-lifetime chance to organize a religion around Harry Nilsson's seminal recording, The Point. From the energy our rail car is radiating, I get the impression its occupants are primed for suggestion. As I sweatily double-click the newly populated white rectangular icon I hear jump in the fire, trailing off the earbuds dangling around the disinterested neck of Villanelle for my daughter's seeing my daughter's dreams before she does. My heart drops out of the conversion racket. I finally formulate the words when the window containing the contents of the flash drive opens in front of me. It contains a video of the days that contain the experiences necessary to write the content these poems contain. Another window pops up, demanding a password. I peck 8675309 with 2 fingers. When the window wobbles back at me, I know I wasn't the one who created this file. As I'm cursing the gods, the former owner of the laptop I disreputably acquired slaps me across the grapefruit, taking back their laptop, but not before drawing dicks on my face. Thank you.
Next up, for one last time, we have Cathleen Chambless.
This one's called How to Perform Necromancy. Steal $15. Go to Toys R Us. Buy a Ouija board and summon Elvis Presley. Turn out the bathroom lights. Close the door and your eyes. Spin in a circle 3 times. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Listen to Slayer. Blackline your eyes. Spray paint inverted pentagrams red on your mother's floor. Own only black cats, black birds, black fish. Have a few virgin friends in case of emergency sacrifice. Go to graves and give the dead birthday cakes. Find a rotting body, douse it in kerosene and ignite. Scoop the ashes and charred flesh with bare palms. Place the remains in a mason jar. Give the jar cigars, shots of white rum, and sing Norwegian lullabies. Thank you, and next up we have Anna.
Everybody's favorite thing, watching a poet read off of their phone. Sorry, it's what I got. This is called Year of Our Lady. Yes, you can be deadly serious, but can you be deadly silly? You can wear your pronouns and your politics and you can tell the difference between the two, but can you wear the clothes you actually want? The lipstick that doesn't suit you? Can you shave half your face and leave the other half wild? Can you scrawl on your arm in Sharpie just for the look of it? Do you even own a tutu? Knowing how to fit in and when to fit in is a tool in the box, but letting that take over how you act and look and feel when you're not breaking in is the highway to normalcy. Remember, we become what we pretend to be. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to be silly? This is not intended to make light of current circumstances. I know what dead bodies are. I know the end result of too much entropy. But don't worry. I worry, for me and for you, that we are eating too much bread and not growing enough roses. I worry we fell too far into the trap of defining ourselves in terms of our fights that we forget what it is to exist outside of external purpose. I tried for a year not to be in the fight, any of the fights. I was exhausted, and I was not getting my spoons back, and so I thought I would live simply. I would work a normal job, and I would buy things with the money I earned, and I would try to see what that dream thing is I keep hearing about, and for a while, there was a romance to it. There's something good about being connected to your labor, something special about high-vis t-shirts and dirty hands. There's a value in customer service voice and the theater of work. But I found The deeper I went, the more the mud sucked under my feet, and the scrabble to the top brought no joy, no rewards, but more and worse work, more getting yelled at, more unpaid hours, more emails to archive, more projects, and no time and no budget, and worst of all, no understanding from above that if something is worth doing, it's worth paying someone to do, and if you don't want to pay someone to do it, you should take it off the damn list of things to get done. My spoon drawer stayed empty. Hit crisis. My stress stayed the same, but the causes and solutions were stupid. I was more and more powerless. This is my coming out of the cave. One shaky step at a time. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know if I'll survive, but what I do know is that we all die anyway, and I don't want to die contributing to the creep of fascism. I don't want to die making someone else rich. There is no reward for keeping your head down, and they cannot hammer every nail that pops up. Let me try. With fully informed consent, knowing that my chances are next to nil, let me extract my body from their machine, my labor from their pool. Let me breathe unconditioned air. I will make my wax wings, and I will brave their fly swatters, and I will sing in the shower and speak to strangers and pick up every shiny rock on my long walk to wherever it is I am going. I will put on my armor, and I will find a new sword, and I will stand where bodies are needed for something better than what we have. I will break out my bullhorn, and I will lead when the chants falter, and I will hand the mic to scared neophytes who don't know their own voice yet, and I will coax it out of them with sweetness and whispers and whoops and hollers. And I know I will fall. I know that recovery is not a straight line. I know that progress is incremental. Steps are taken back. I know I will land flat on my face. It's already happened. It's already happening. Remember, you will die here. Remember, you are already dead. But you do not have to die alone, and you do not have to die in service to what you hate, and you do not have to die having never lived. These are omelet-making times, and whether you are the one making the omelet or not, a lot of eggs are getting broken, and chances are you're going to be one of them. These are omelet-making times, and whether you are the one making the omelet or not, a lot of eggs are getting broken, and chances are you're going to be one of them. But listen to me, really listen. Sometimes an omelet needs to be made, and every single egg that breaks along the way matters. Everything that you are matters. The smell of lilacs in May, the burning pavement under bare feet, the taste of chlorine, of sea salt in the air, the touch of mist on a gray day, of mud between your toes, it matters. Let the sun shine on your face. Put down the work. Find accomplices. Start planning. And for the love of the goddess, get a little silly about it. We're going on a jailbreak. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you to the wonderful and amazing CD Collins for coming out with us. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to Greg for stepping in the back. We all hope that Chris feels better. We all hope that Ari feels better too. Thank you for staying with us. We are here every other Monday or every second and fourth Monday at UMA in Malden until such a time as they kick us out of the building or we don't want to do this anymore. Thank you to UMA for hosting us. Have a great night.